Two little boys stole a big bag of oranges from a neighbor and decided to go to a calm place to share the lot equally. One of them suggested the nearby cemetery. As they were jumping the big gate to enter the cemetery, two oranges fell out of the big bag, but they didn't bother to pick them up since they had enough in the bag. A few minutes later, a drunkard on his way from a bar passed near the cemetery gate and heard a voice saying, "One for me, one for you. One for me, one for you." He immediately sobered up and ran as fast as he could to a church nearby. For the priest, "Father, please come with me. Come and witness God and Satan sharing corpses at the cemetery." They both ran back to the cemetery gate and the voices continued, "One for me, one for you. One for me, one for you." Suddenly, the voice stopped counting and said, "What about the two at the gate?" The priest almost ran past the church gate, shouting, "We are not dead yet, oh!"
A chap went to see a proctologist for the first time in his life. The doctor put him in the examination room and said he'd be back shortly. While waiting, the man noticed 3 items sitting on a silver table: a tube of KY jelly, a rubber glove, and a bottle of beer. When the doctor returned, the man said, "Now look, Doc, I know what the jelly's for, and I know what the glove's for, but what on earth is the beer for?" The doctor suddenly lost his temper, marched to the door, flung it open, and shouted, "Come on, nurse, I said a Butt Light."
An elderly gentleman took his brand-new Cadillac out for a spin and soon found himself cruising at 100 miles an hour. Glancing in his rearview mirror, he noticed flashing lights from a police cruiser gaining on him. He pressed the gas a little harder, 120, then 130, then even faster. Suddenly he sighed and thought, "At my age, this is just plain foolish." So he eased the car onto the shoulder and waited for the officer to arrive. The officer walked up to the window, looked at his watch, and shook his head. "Sir," he said, "my shift ends in 10 minutes. It's Friday, and I'm heading out of town with my family. If you can give me a reason for speeding that I've never heard before, I'll let you go." The old man looked at the officer very seriously for a moment. Then he said, "Well, years ago, my wife ran off with a state trooper. I saw your lights behind me and thought you might be bringing her back." The officer paused, tipped his hat, and said, "Have a wonderful day, sir." My Tinder date invited me back to her house tonight. While she was in the bathroom, I had a cheeky look in her wardrobe. Inside, there was a nurse's outfit, a policewoman's uniform, and a full dominatrix bodysuit. So I quietly pulled my trousers back on and slipped out the door. I don't want a girlfriend who can't hold down a job.
An elderly man phones his son and says, "Son, I've had enough. Your mother and I are splitting up. After 45 years, I can't take it anymore." "Dad, what?" the son shouts. "What are you talking about?" "We're done," the old man says. "We can't stand each other anymore. I'm tired of looking at her, and I'm tired of talking about it. Call your sister and tell her." Then he hangs up. Panicking, the son calls his sister and tells her the news. "Absolutely not," she snaps. "They are not getting divorced." She immediately calls her father. "You two are not divorcing. Don't you dare do anything until we get there. My brother and I are flying home tomorrow to sort this out. Don't call a lawyer and don't sign anything. Just wait. Got it?" She hangs up. The old man turns to his wife and smiles. "See? I told you it would work. They're both coming for the holidays, and they're paying for their own flights." The wife served breakfast to the husband. Along with that, she gave me a tablet also and said, "Take this paracetamol after breakfast." Husband, "Why? I don't have a fever." Wife, "Okay, then take this Digene." Husband, "Come on, I don't even have gastric trouble." Wife, "Okay, take at least Pudin-Hara. You will have immediate relief." Husband, "My dear, my stomach is perfectly okay." Wife,
"Oh, but you must take at least Combiflame. Any pain in your hands or legs will disappear in no time." "Husband, are you crazy? Why so much care and concern for me all of a sudden? Thanks, darling, but I am totally fit, fresh, and energetic." "Wife, very good. Now take this broom and clean up the cobwebs from all the rooms and then clean up the loft also."
Three nuns are talking, and the first nun says, "You would never believe what I discovered." Intrigued, the other signaled her to continue. "I found a phone in the priest's room," said the first nun. "Oh, that's nothing," said the second one. "I found condoms in one of his drawers," said the second one. "What did you do with them?" said the first nun. Pridefully, the second nun responds with, "I poked holes in all of them." And the third nun says, "Oh, shit." Mildred, the local gossip and self-appointed keeper of the church's morals, kept poking her nose into other people's business. Several members of the church did not approve of her extracurricular activities, but kept to themselves in fear of reprisal. She made a mistake, however, when she accused a new member, Sam, of being an alcoholic after seeing his old pickup parked outside the town's only pub one afternoon. She emphatically told Sam and several others of the congregation that by seeing his car there, everyone would know exactly what he was doing. Sam, a man of few words, stared at her for a moment and then just turned and walked away. He didn't explain, defend, or deny. He said nothing. Later that evening, Sam quietly parked his pickup in front of Mildred's house and left it there all night. A man was wheeling himself frantically down the hall of the hospital in his wheelchair just before his operation. A nurse stopped him and asked, "What's the matter?" He said, "I heard the nurse say, 'It's a very simple operation. Don't worry, I'm sure it will be all right.'" "She was just trying to comfort you. What's so frightening about that?" "She wasn't talking to me. She was talking to the doctor." In order to pay his medical school tuition, Thomas Merrick was working 2 jobs over the summer. By day, he worked at Leclerc's Market, a butcher shop. He wore a stiff white coat splattered with crimson and trimmed with fat. By night, he transformed. Down at St. Ambrose Hospital, he traded cleavers for stretchers. As an orderly on the graveyard shift, his white coat is now clean and crisp, worn over hospital scrubs. One night, long past midnight, Thomas was called to prepare a patient for surgery. Room 216, elderly woman, appendectomy. He arrived with his usual calm, smiled softly, gently eased the gurney beside her bed, and began to help the nurses ready her for the trip down to the OR. She was pale, small. Her eyes fluttered open, cloudy but alert. As Thomas leaned in to adjust the straps, the room froze. Her eyes locked onto him, wide, horrified. Her lips trembled. Then, as if struck by lightning, she bolted upright and screamed with the terror of a woman who believed her last hour had come. "God save me! It's the butcher!" A middle-aged woman has a heart attack and is taken to the hospital. While on the operating table, she has a near-death experience. During that experience, she sees God and asks if this is it. God says no and explains that she has another 30-40 years to live. Upon her recovery, she decides to just stay in the hospital and have a facelift, liposuction, breast augmentation, and a tummy tuck. You name it, she had it. She even has someone come in and change her hair color. She figures since she's got another 30 or 40 years, she might as well make the most of it. She walks out of the hospital after the last operation when she is killed by an ambulance speeding up to the hospital. She arrives in front of God and asks, "I thought you said I had another 30-40 years." "Oh," said God, "I didn't recognize you." A man walks into an Irish pub on St. Patrick's Day. He sits down and orders 3 pints of Guinness. The bartender raises an eyebrow, but serves all 3.
The man sips from each glass one after the other, rotating them carefully. When he finishes, he orders 3 more. Curious, the bartender asks, "Why don't you just order one at a time?" The man smiles and says, "Well, I've got 2 brothers, one in America and one in Australia. We made a pact that every year on St. Patrick's Day, we'd each drink a pint for the others. So I drink 3, one for me and one for each of them." The bartender nods, touched by the story. This goes on for years. Every St. Patrick's Day, the man comes in and orders 3 pints. Then one year, he walks in and only orders 2 pints. The whole bar goes quiet. The bartender, concerned, walks over and says, "Hey, I'm so sorry for your loss. Which brother passed?" The man looks confused and says, "Oh, no, everyone's fine." The bartender sighs in relief. "Then why only 2 pints?" The man smiles and says, "Well, I quit drinking." A man standing at a urinal notices that he's being watched by a midget. "Wow," comments the midget, "those are the nicest balls I have ever seen." Surprised and flattered, the man thanks the midget and continues to pee. Suddenly, the midget pulls up a stepladder right next to the urinal and says, "Listen, I know this is a rather strange request, but as they're so admirable, I wonder if I could take a closer look." Again, the man is rather startled, but sees no real harm in it. Just then, the midget reaches out, gets a tight grip on the man's balls, and says, "Okay, hand me your... I'll jump off the ladder." A husband and wife get up on Sunday morning. After breakfast, the wife notices that her husband isn't dressed for church. "Why aren't you dressed for church?" "Simple. I'm not going." "Why not?" "Well, I'll give you 3 pretty good reasons why I'm not going. First of all, the church is cold in the morning. It's just cold. Second, no one there likes me. Everyone is always talking about me behind my back. And third, most important of all, I just don't feel like going." "Well, I'll give you 3 pretty good reasons why you are going. First of all, the church isn't cold in the morning, it's warm. Second, I think, or I'm pretty sure, that there are some people there who do like you. And third, you're the minister, so get dressed." An elderly man had dinner at a very nice restaurant. After he finished his wine, he went to the men's room, then walked out through the bar. It was a beautiful evening, so he decided to leave his car in the parking lot and walk home. When he arrived at his front door, he realized he didn't have his keys. He finally figured they must be in his jacket pocket, which was still hanging in the restroom. He walked back to the restaurant, found his jacket in the men's room, and realized he'd left his hat on the table. He strolled back to the dining room to retrieve his hat, and when he got to his table, his wife asked, "Is anything wrong? You took such a long time in there." A woman takes her 18-year-old daughter to the doctor. The doctor says, "Okay, Mrs. James, what's the problem?" The mother says, "It's my daughter, Darla. She keeps getting these cravings. She's putting on weight and is sick most mornings." The doctor gives Darla a good examination, then turns to the mother and says, "Well, I don't know how to tell you this, but your Darla is pregnant. About 4 months would be my guess." The mother says, "Pregnant? She can't be. She has never, ever been left alone with a man. Have you, Darla?" Darla replies, "No, mother. I've never even kissed a man." The doctor walked over to the window and just stared out it. About 5 minutes pass, and finally the mother says, "Is there something wrong out there, doctor?" The doctor replies, "No, not really. It's just that the last time anything like this happened, a star appeared in the east and 3 wise men came over the hill. I'll be damned if I'm going to miss it this time." A rancher was helping one of his cows give birth when he noticed his 4-year-old son standing wide-eyed at the fence, soaking in the whole event. The man thought, "Great, he's 4, and I'm going to have to start explaining the birds and bees. No need to jump the gun, I'll just let him ask and I'll answer." After everything was over, the man walked over to his son and said,
"Well, son, do you have any questions?"
"Just one," gasped the still wide-eyed lad. "How fast was that calf going when he hit the back of that cow?"
A blonde and a redhead have a ranch. They have just lost their bull. The women need to buy another but only have $500. The redhead tells the blonde, "I will go to the market and see if I can find one for under that amount. If I can, I will send you a telegram." She goes to the market and finds one for $499. Having only $1 left, she goes to the telegraph office and finds out that it costs $1 per word. She is stumped on how to tell the blonde to bring the truck and trailer. Finally, she tells the telegraph operator to send the word "comfortable." Skeptical, the operator asks, how will she know to come with the trailer from just that word? The redhead replies, she's a blonde, so she reads slow. Comfortable.
A young widow would come to her husband's grave weekly to water the flowers. Then, every time, she would walk away with her back turned. A young man who'd been observing her for a long time said to her, "I see that you have shown exceptional respect to your deceased husband. I notice that you don't turn your back when you leave, which is very beautiful." "Well, sir, my husband always used to tell me that I have a behind that could raise the dead from their graves. I don't want to take any chances."
A broker, a thief, and a con man walk into a bar. After they finish their drink, the thief heads for the door. The broker runs ahead of him and holds the door open for him. "Bye," said the thief, upon which the broker stomped a hole in the floorboards, sending the thief down to the basement where they keep the wine. Next, the con man finishes his drink and heads for the door. "Bye," says the con man, and in response the broker stomps his feet again, sending the con man down to join the thief. Seeing this, the bartender asks, "How did you know they were criminals?" The broker replies, "I didn't. I'm just a broker. I connect a buyer and a seller." I was in the VIP lounge last week en route to Seattle. Whilst in the lounge, I noticed Bill Gates sitting on the Chesterfield enjoying a cognac. I was meeting a very important client who was also flying to Seattle with me, but she was running a bit late. Being a forward type of guy, I approached Mr. Gates and introduced myself. I explained to him that I was conducting some very important business and how I would appreciate it if he could throw a quick "Hello, Chris" at me when I was with my client. He agreed. 10 minutes later, while I was conversing with my client, I felt a tap on my shoulder. It was Bill Gates. I turned around and looked up at him. He said, "Hi, Chris, what's happening?" To which I replied, "F off, Gates, I'm in a meeting."
A retired stockbroker moves to the country. He buys a large plot of land and is living by himself for a few months when he gets a knock on the door. The man answers the door and a large country boy is standing there. "My name's Bubba. I'm your neighbor with the farm across from you." The man is excited as he hasn't really seen another person in months. "Oh, nice to meet you," he says enthusiastically. "I know you just moved here and I wanted to invite you to a party I'm having, but I gotta be honest with you and let you know about the fact that I make a mean moonshine and there's often drinking going on there at the parties." The man thinks about it and says, "Well, I'm a retired stockbroker. I used to drink with the best of them after work every night. Sounds like a good time to me. Also, gotta warn you that there may be some fighting occasionally breaking out." Well, I suppose I did decide I wanted to live the country life when I moved out here, and I guess that it's just part of the life here. I'm still in. Also, gotta warn you, there may be some wild sex at the parties I throw, 'cause of the moonshine. You know how it goes sometimes. Well, I've been living alone for months. I definitely will be there. What do I need to bring? Should I make something to eat or just bring myself? You bring anything you want. It's just gonna be you and me.
Once, in a zoo in a small town, there was a lion who had become very upset. Every day he was given only 1 kilogram of meat, and whenever he asked for more, the keepers would say, "Times are hard. Prices are high. You'll have to manage with this." One day, a new program started where animals were being transferred between zoos in different countries. Luckily, that lion was selected to be sent to a famous zoo in another wealthy country. The lion was overjoyed. He thought, "Finally, my prayers have been answered. Now I will live in a clean zoo, cool air, and plenty of food." When he arrived at the new zoo, the first day he received a beautifully packed food bag. The lion was excited. He quickly opened it, and inside were a few bananas. The lion was shocked. He thought maybe the bag had been delivered to the wrong cage, so he ate the bananas anyway, drank some water, thanked God, and went to sleep. The next day, the same thing happened. He opened the food bag, and again there were bananas. Now the lion became very angry. He said to himself, "Tomorrow, when the delivery boy comes, I will deal with him." The next day, when the delivery boy arrived, the lion stopped him and opened the packet right in front of him. Again, bananas. The lion roared angrily and said, "What kind of work are you doing? Don't you know what a lion eats? Every day you bring me bananas. Don't you know I am a lion, the king of the jungle, and the king of the jungle eats meat?" The delivery boy listened patiently to everything. Then he calmly replied, "Sir, I know very well that you are the king of the jungle." He paused politely and added, "But with all due respect, you were brought here on a monkey visa."
In space, two aliens are talking to each other. The first alien says, "The dominant life forms on the Earth planet have developed satellite-based nuclear weapons." The second alien asks, "Are they an emerging intelligence?" The first alien says, "I don't think so. They have aimed at themselves."